I sit alone in my cramped apartment, the glow of my laptop screen the only light, my fingers trembling over the keys as I imagine my mother and sister laughing. Their voices sharp and cutting in my mind. She's probably forgetting to eat again. Or when will she accept? She's a failure. Words. They never say to my face, but I feel them like a weight pressing down on my chest. I'm Arabella Clark, 33, and to my family I'm nothing. A shadow they wish would fade into the pristine corners of their perfect world. The walls around me peel with age. The air smells of stale coffee, and outside the city hums with a life I've never fit into. My mother's elegant living room flashes in my mind, her holding an expensive wine glass, her lips curling in disdain as Lillian nods along, their golden hair catching the chandelier light. They don't need to say it, I hear it anyway, the whispers that have followed me since I was old enough to dream beyond their plans. I glance at the clock, 2 a.m., another night bleeding into morning, my eyes burning, but I can't stop, not now. The screen flickers with numbers, code, a lifeline I've built from scratch while they sip champagne and plan Lillian's wedding to Ethan Hayes, the prince of their glittering empire. I'm not invited to the fittings, the tastings, the brunches where they clink glasses and toast to a future I'll never have. Instead, I'm here, my desk littered with takeout boxes, my hoodie frayed at the sleeves, chasing something they'll never see. They think I'm lost, a fool chasing shadows, but these shadows are mine, and I've carved them into something real. My breath catches as I type, the weight of their judgment, a phantom I can't shake, but I won't let it bury me, not tonight, not ever. My mother's voice echoes from years ago, Harvard Business School, then your father's company, then a suitable husband, her plan for me laid out like a polished script, every step gleaming with prestige. I see her now, standing in our marble-floored foyer, her pearls glinting as she smiled at me, 18 and wide-eyed, believing I could be her masterpiece. But I tore it apart, ripped that script to shreds, chose fintech instead, a field they called crazy, a gamble for geniuses or fools. I remember her face when I told her, the way her smile froze, her eyes narrowing as if I'd slapped her. "You'll regret this, Arabella," she said, her voice cold. And my father just nodded, his silence louder than her words. I didn't go to Harvard, didn't slip into a sleek office with a 6-figure salary. Instead, I found a tiny room with flickering lights, a team of developers who believed in me when no one else did. We built something they couldn't see, an AI platform to predict markets, to outsmart the chaos they thrived in. My mother wanted me to wear tailored suits, shake hands with moguls, marry into their world, but I chose code over cocktails, sleepless nights over luncheons. They laughed then, called it a phase, a rebellion, but I saw the future in those lines of data, a future they couldn't control. My hands shake as I remember, not with fear, but with defiance, because every line I wrote was a step away from her plan, a step toward something mine. Lillian, my golden sister, 29 and perfect, her Wharton degree, her CFO title, her engagement to Ethan Hayes. She smirks at me during one of her visits, her voice dripping with pity. "You missed another dinner, or are you still clinging to that hopeless dream?" she says. Her Chanel bag gleaming on my chipped table, her nails tapping like she's counting my failures. I say nothing, my screen full of financial reports she'll never understand, my silence a wall she can't breach. She stands there, her designer coat brushing the floor, her eyes sweeping over my apartment, disgust curling her lips as if she's stepped into a sewer. "God, you really live like this," she mutters, flipping her hair. "Why are you punishing yourself?" I grit my teeth, my fingers tightening on the mouse. I could tell her I've worked 90 hours this week. That success doesn't come with a trust fund, but she'd never get it, not with her cushy office, her corner view, her life handed to her on a silver platter. She doesn't leave, lingers like she enjoys the sting. Ethan just bought me a yacht, she adds. We're going to the Hamptons after the wedding. Hope you wear something decent if you show up. Her words land like a slap, sharp and deliberate. But I don't flinch, not outwardly. Inside, I burn, the fire stoked by years of her taunts, her certainty I'll never rise. She thinks I avoid them out of shame, but I skip those dinners because I'm not an outsider by choice. I'm a threat they can't name. I turn back to my screen, the numbers my shield, my revenge still a secret, and I let her walk away, her heels clicking, her laughter fading, unaware of the storm I'm brewing. 4 years of sleepless nights, my rundown apartment, my battlefield, and now a $50 million deal with a venture capital firm, finalized in secret. I can hardly believe it's real. My AI platform, a revolution, they said, capable of predicting market trends with precision no one else could touch. It's the culmination of every hour I spent, hunched over my laptop, while Lillian planned her wedding and my mother polished her guest list. I sit back, the weight of it sinking in, my fingers hovering over the contract on my screen, a single click away from changing everything. They're still blind, my family, seeing only a stubborn girl wasting her life. But I've built something bigger than their empire, something they can't ignore much longer. I could call Lillian right now, tell her about the deal, watch that smug look melt off her face, but I don't, not yet. The timing isn't right, I decide, sipping my coffee, the bitterness grounding me, as I imagine her next visit, her next jab about my hopeless dream. I've kept this secret for 3 months, negotiating late into the night, my voice steady on calls with executives who saw what my family couldn't. And now it's done, the ink drying on a future they never predicted. I smile, a quiet thrill running through me. Don't worry about your wedding gift, Lillian. I have something special, I murmur to the empty room, the words a promise I'll keep. My apartment feels smaller tonight, the peeling walls closing in, but it's not a cage anymore. It's where I won, and they have no idea what's coming. I step into the banquet hall, Versace dress hugging my frame, no more faded jeans or hoodies, and the air shifts, heads turning as I move through the crowd. Lillian freezes at the head table, her smile faltering, her white gown pristine against the silk-draped chairs, and my mother's eyes widen from across the room, her champagne glass pausing midair. "Arabella, don't ruin this," she hisses, her voice cutting through the chatter, but I ignore her, my heels clicking deliberately on the polished floor as I approach the table. The guests watch, some curious, some amused, their jewels glinting under chandeliers, and I feel every gaze, no longer the pitiful sister in a sweater, but something else, something they can't place. I set my clutch down, pull out the envelope, and slide it across the table toward Lillian. "Congratulations, Lillian. My gift to you," I say, my tone calm, steady. She scoffs, picking it up with that familiar air of condescension. "Oh, don't tell me it's another one of your handmade cards," she says, her friends chuckling as she tears it open. But then her smirk fades, her hands trembling as she pulls out the papers. Her eyes skim the lines. The number hits her, $50 million, and her voice cracks. "Tell me this is a joke, Arabella," her arrogance replaced by disbelief. I tilt my head, meeting her gaze, 100% real. "Lillian," I reply, my voice soft but unyielding, and the room goes still, the laughter dying as she stares at me, the papers shaking in her grip. My mother snatches them from her, scanning the words, selling the company. $50 million, she whispers, her face draining of color. "What the hell did you do, Arabella?" I shrug, lifting my champagne glass, swirling it lightly. "I built a company everyone said was hopeless. And then one of the biggest financial firms decided to acquire it," I say, pausing to let it sink in. "Guess I wasn't as useless as you thought." Lillian's mouth opens, no words come out, and my father, silent until now, stares at me like he's seeing me for the first time. I take a slow sip, the bubbles sharp on my tongue, and I feel it. The shift. The moment they realize their perfect picture has a crack, and I'm the one who broke it. Silence suffocates the room, my mother's face still pale. Lillian grips the papers tightly. You can't have, she whispers, her voice dry, her certainty crumbling as the guests shift uncomfortably in their seats. I smirk, leaning back slightly, and yet, here I am, I say, the words cutting deeper than any shout. And the laughter that once followed her jabs is gone, replaced by murmurs, glances darting between us. My mother sets the papers down, her hands unsteady. This can't be real, she mutters. But it is. And she knows it, the proof. Right there in black and white. $50 million. My name tied to a success they never imagined. I sip my champagne again. This is just the beginning, I say, my voice steady. My technology will keep evolving. The company's valuation is expected to hit $150 million in 2 years. Lillian sinks into her chair, her gaze vacant. The golden sister who always looked down on me now small, her perfect day, unraveling thread by thread. My father clears his throat. Arabella, he starts, but I cut him off with a look, not harsh, just final. I don't need his words, not anymore. The guests whisper, some pull out phones, no doubt searching for news of the deal, and I feel the power shift. No more pitying glances, no more dismissal. I won't just be the most successful person in this room, I add, holding Lillian's eyes. I'll be the most successful person in this family. And someone gasps, a sharp breath breaking the tension. But I don't flinch. I've earned this. I turn away, glass in hand, the chatter resuming behind me. But it's different now, laced with awe, maybe fear, and I let it wash over me, years of their judgment dissolving in this single moment. They thought I'd never break free, that their limits would hold me, but I shattered them all, and as I walk toward the balcony, the city lights sprawling below. I know this isn't the end. It's the start of something they'll never control. 6 months ago, my AI flagged it, Hayes Group's empire teetering on debt and reckless deals, a collapse I saw coming while Lillian planned her honeymoon, oblivious to the cracks beneath her perfect life. Now it's breaking news, possible bankruptcy, the headline flashing across my screen as I sit in my new office, the city sprawling 45 floors below, sunlight streaming through glass walls. My phone buzzes, Lillian's name lighting up, and I answer, her voice shaking on the other end. You knew, didn't you? Her tone no longer sharp, just desperate. I lean back, feigning ignorance. Knew what? I ask, letting the silence stretch, knowing she'll fill it. Ethan's family, their company is losing everything, she says, her breath uneven. If they can't handle the debts, I'll lose everything too. I tighten my grip on the phone, the satisfaction simmering beneath my calm. Your perfect dream is over, I say, the words deliberate, echoing her taunts from years ago when she stood in my apartment, mocking my choices. She doesn't argue, doesn't snap back, just inhales sharply, and I picture her, no Chanel bag now, no manicured nails tapping, just a woman realizing the ground's gone soft beneath her. My platform predicted this, tracked every concealed report, every bad investment, and I didn't warn her, didn't need to. She wouldn't have listened then. The call ends, her silence louder than any plea, and I set the phone down, glancing at the data still running on my screen. Proof I was always steps ahead. Proof her world was never as solid as she thought. My father visits my sleek new office, his suit wrinkled, his pride cracking, and I watch him step inside, his eyes sweeping over the leather chairs, the monitors flickering with market numbers, a far cry from the peeling walls he once scorned. He sits without asking, gets straight to it. Lillian needs your help. His voice heavy, no preamble, no pretense, and I laugh softly, the sound dry, not cruel, just inevitable. A job at my company, fine, but she starts at the bottom, I say, crossing my arms, my tone cool, unyielding, and his eyes narrow, waiting for the catch. One condition, I add, leaning forward slightly, she admits she was wrong, publicly, in front of the family. everyone who's ever heard her belittle me. He hesitates, his jaw tightening, and I see the battle in him, the man who told me I'd waste my life now bargaining for his golden daughter. But I don't soften, don't bend. She needs a place to start over, he says, quieter now, and I nod, pulling a folder from my drawer, sliding it across the desk. This is her chance, but it's on my terms. He stares at it, the weight of my words settling, then picks it up, his shoulders slumping as he stands. No argument left. He walks out, the door clicking shut, and I lean back, sipping my coffee. The taste sharp, grounding, knowing the choice is hers now. Knowing she'll have to face me. Not as the sister she pitied, but as the one who holds her future. Lillian arrives broken, no makeup, no arrogance, her coat creased, her eyes shadowed with exhaustion, and she stands at my office door whispering, "I'll work here," her voice so quiet I almost miss it. I slide a folder across the desk. "Start tomorrow," I say, my tone firm. No warmth yet. And she nods, picking it up, her hands unsteady as she flips through the pages. A contract, a new beginning she never wanted. She starts in data analysis, no corner office, no title, just spreadsheets and deadlines, and I watch her struggle, fumbling reports, entering wrong numbers, getting reprimanded by a supervisor who doesn't care about her last name. She corners me in the kitchen at lunch, her voice tight. "You're not going to help me." And I cross my arms, meeting her eyes. "Learn to stand on your own, Lillian." I did. She presses her lips together, no retort. Just a flicker of something, maybe patience, maybe defeat. And I leave her there, her coffee untouched, her world shrinking to the screen in front of her. Weeks pass. She makes mistakes, costs the team hours fixing a report, misses a trend that throws off a forecast, but she doesn't quit, doesn't run back to our parents. I see her late one night, hunched over her desk, glasses she never used to wear sliding down her nose, and I get an email from her supervisor. She's trying. Her latest report's better, and I pause, surprised, a small smile tugging at my lips. She's changing, not fast, not easy, but real. And I wonder if she feels it too. The weight lifting, the shadow of her old self fading as she learns what I learned years ago, alone in that rundown apartment. A year passes, my company hits $150 million. CEOs who once ignored me now chase me with conference invites, and I sit in my office, the city skyline a golden haze beyond the glass, proof I've outgrown the shadows my family cast. Lillian's promoted mid-level now, no longer the broken girl who begged for a job, and she walks in one morning, coffee in hand, setting it on my desk with a quiet nod. "I used to think you were just a dreamer," she says, her voice soft, no edge left. I lean back, studying her. "Now I get it," she adds, sitting across from me, and I nod, sipping the coffee. "What have you learned?" I ask, curious, not demanding. She exhales, her eyes steady. "I'm not special unless I prove it. And I feel it. A shift. Not just in her, but between us, the air lighter than it's ever been." My family softens too, no apologies in words, but I notice it. My mother's calls just to check in. My father sending an article about my success without a hint of critique. And I don't wait for more. Don't need it. They see me now, not as the stain they hid, but as something else. Someone who rewrote their rules. And it's enough. Not because I craved their approval, but because I've moved beyond it. Lillian stays, her coat plain now, no designer labels, and I see the work in her. The late nights she doesn't complain about, the reports she perfects, and I realize this isn't about revenge anymore. It's about what I've built, what she's building too, a bridge where there was once a wall. Lillian walks in the next day, a USB drive in hand. "Do you have a minute?" she asks, and I nod, gesturing to the chair as she plugs it into my laptop, pulling up a report. "An 8% accuracy boost," she says, her voice calm, no arrogance. Just pride in the numbers she's crunched, and I skim it. The data tight, precise, impressed, I say, glancing at her, and she smiles. A small, genuine thing. No expectation of praise, just satisfaction. I lean back, looking out at the sunset, the city bathed in gold. Want to grab dinner? I ask. The words easy, natural, and she nods. I'll pick the restaurant, her tone light, and I laugh, a sound I never thought I'd share with her. We're not enemies anymore, not sisters divided by their judgment or hers. And I feel it as we leave, the weight of that wedding a year ago fading. The envelope, the shock, all of it distant now. She's learned not just how to work, but what it means. And I've learned too that success isn't the smirk I wore when she trembled, it's this moment where she stands on her own, where I don't need to prove anything. The office hums behind us, my empire thriving, but it's quieter in me, a peace I didn't expect, and I know this is the real victory, not their regret, but our growth, side by side. I shut off my computer, the city glows below me. A year ago I stood at that wedding proving them wrong, my Versace dress a weapon, my words a blade, but now I see it's not about their regret. It's about building, moving forward, helping even Lillian rise. I think of her then, trembling over those papers, my mother's shock, my father's silence, and it feels small, a memory that doesn't sting anymore, because I didn't do this for them, I did it for me, for the girl in that run-down apartment who believed when no one else did. True success speaks for itself, I realize, standing there. The skyline a testament to what I've made, not just money, but meaning. Lillian's report sits on my desk, her effort etched in every line, and I smile, not at her failure turned triumph, but at what it means. Opportunities I created, not just for me, but for her, for anyone who dares to start over. Revenge was a spark, bright and brief. But this is the fire, steady, warm, and I step away from the window, my reflection faint in the glass, no longer the shadow they saw, but someone whole, someone free, ready to keep going, unchained from the past they tried to lock me in. The weight of exhaustion drags at my shoulders like a lead cloak as I stumble through the door of my apartment, the dim glow of a single lamp casting long shadows across the hardwood. It's March 11th, 2025, and the day's endless meetings and plastered-on smiles have hollowed me out, leaving nothing but a shell-craving silence. My keys jangle in my trembling hands as I fumble with the lock, the familiar click, a faint echo in the stillness, like a whisper I'm too tired to hear. I drop my bag by the door, the soft thud reverberating through the emptiness, a sound as lonely as I feel. The sanctuary of my empty apartment beckons, a fragile shield against the world's relentless demands, and I shuffle toward the hallway table where I'd forgotten my phone this morning in my rush to escape. The screen glows to life as I pick it up, a harsh blue light cutting through the dusk settling over the room. My thumb brushes the smooth glass, scrolling past unread emails and missed calls. Work, always work, until a notification freezes my breath. A video message from Aunt Linda. Strange. Linda never sends videos. She's the type to call with a brisk update about her garden or Uncle Tom's latest fishing trip, not this. My chest tightens, a whisper of unease crawling up my spine like a spider's delicate legs. I sink into my favorite armchair, the one Nana left me, its faded fabric still holding a faint trace of her lavender perfume. The scent usually wraps me in comfort, a tether to simpler days, but tonight it feels off, distant, like a memory I can't quite grasp. My thumb hovers over the play button, the tiny triangle, taunting me with its promise of something unknown. What could she want now? The question lingers, heavy as the silence pressing in around me, and I know, somehow, that pressing play will change everything. I press play, and the world tilts. The phone's glow bathes my face in cold light, casting jagged shadows as Diane's sharp laughter slices through the speaker, a sound I've heard 1,000 times, but never like this. It's her living room on the screen, the one with the sagging couch and the framed photos I've spent years trying to earn a place among. A place I've bled my savings to preserve, wiring money for mortgages and repairs, while my own dreams gathered dust. Mark leans into the frame, his face flushed from what must be his third glass of wine, his broad shoulders filling the space like he owns it. Our little ATM, he chuckles, the words slurring into a cruel jab that punches the air from my lungs. Tyler's voice slinks in next, my baby brother's familiar drawl twisting into something ugly. She didn't even ask what it was for, he says, and their laughter swells, filling my apartment until it bounces off the walls, a toxic tide drowning my breath. My hands shake so badly I nearly drop the phone, the smooth edges slipping against my sweaty palms, but I can't look away. Each word they speak hammers another crack into the foundation of what I thought was truth, the screen blurring as tears well up like rain on glass. I force myself to keep watching, replaying it as memories flash through my mind, dark and jagged. Diane's urgent calls about overdue bills, her voice trembling just enough to hook me. We could lose everything, Amelia. Mark showing up at my office, his shadow looming over my desk as coworkers stared, his loud demands for mortgage help shaming me into compliance. Tyler's endless string of crises, car trouble, rent, that emergency last week, each one a plea I answered with transfers from my savings, no questions asked. Their laughter rings again, Mom's voice dripping with satisfaction. She's so desperate to be the good daughter. Mark's follow-up lands like a slap. Just mentioned family obligation, and she empties her savings. The video loops, and I notice the timestamp. Yesterday, during what Diane called a small family gathering. I was too busy to attend. Too busy working extra hours to rebuild my savings after Tyler's latest sob story. Notifications flash across the top. Aunt Linda's frantic texts in real time as she filmed. Karen, are you sure about this? What if she finds out? We should delete this. But then her follow-up hits my screen. Oh God, Amelia, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to send that to you. Please delete it. Too late. She did send it, and I can't unsee it. My chest tightens until each breath feels like swallowing glass, the armchair's soft fabric suddenly wrong beneath my fingers. Too normal for a moment that's shattering everything I thought I knew. I replay it again, their casual cruelty crystallizing with every loop. Diane's practiced sighs, Mark's smug grin, Tyler's mocking tone. The complete absence of love in their eyes when they say my name. The phone buzzes, Diane calling now, her contact photo smiling up at me with that same calculated warmth she uses when she needs something. My finger hovers over the answer button, years of conditioning screaming at me to pick up, to smooth it over, to keep the peace at any cost. But for the first time, I see it, the pattern, the lie. And I let it ring, the sound fading beneath the roaring in my ears. The phone's insistent buzzing cuts through the silence of my apartment, Diane's name flashing on the screen as her call goes unanswered. Her contact photo stares up at me, that practiced smile taunting me with its false warmth, the same one she's wielded like a weapon for years. I let it ring, my fingers trembling as they hover over the desk littered with scattered bills, physical remnants of their endless emergencies. The video's laughter still echoes in my skull, a cruel refrain that won't fade, and I grab a pen, the cold metal grounding me as I scrawl across a notepad. I will not be manipulated anymore. The words look foreign on the page, jagged and unsteady, yet they spark something deep in my chest, a flicker of freedom beneath the weight of betrayal. Memories flood in, each one darker than the last, painting a picture I've been too loyal to see. Diane's urgent calls about overdue bills, her voice trembling just enough to hook me into wiring thousands. Mark showing up at my workplace, his broad frame casting a shadow as he demanded help with the mortgage, shaming me into compliance. Tyler's crises, car trouble, rent, that emergency last week. Each one a plea. I answered with my savings, no questions asked, because family comes first. My chest tightens until each breath feels like swallowing glass. The armchair's soft fabric beneath me suddenly wrong. Too normal for a moment that's shattering everything I thought I knew. I've spent years proving my worth, working overtime for roof repairs, canceling vacations for Tyler's lies, putting my dreams on hold to be the good daughter they mocked in that video. The phone buzzes again. Tyler this time, a text preview glowing. "Sis, I need help with..." I set it face down, the familiar guilt rising like bile, but a question cuts through it, sharp and unyielding. Who am I without their demands? The apartment darkens around me, shadows swallowing the edges of the room, and I realize I don't have an answer. Not yet. But as Diane's missed call fades to a notification, the silence feels less like a void and more like a space I might finally claim. The night drags on, heavy with the weight of that unanswered question, until my phone vibrates again. Not Tyler, but Emily this time. Her text glows in the dark. "Hey, you've seemed off. Coffee now?" I hesitate, fingers brushing the screen, then type a quick yes, usual spot. The promise of her steady presence pulls me from the spiral, and I grab my coat. The cool leather a lifeline as I step into the crisp March air. At the daily grind, the familiar scent of coffee and pastries wraps around me like a worn sweater, grounding me as I slide into our corner booth. Emily's already there, her warm brown eyes searching mine. And David, my old grad school mentor, approaches with 3 steaming mugs, his steady gait a quiet reassurance. "I hope you don't mind," Emily says, sliding a mug toward me. "I asked David to join. We're worried, Amelia." The coffee's warmth seeps into my palms, steadying my hands as I sip, the bitter tang cutting through the fog in my mind. David sets his mug down, fixing me with that calm, unwavering gaze that got me through my thesis years ago. "Your father came by my office yesterday," he says quietly, "making some interesting claims about your mental state." The words hit like a slap, Mark's tactics sinking lower than I'd imagined. But I think of the video, their laughter, and the anger burns away the shock, a hot flame in my veins. "They're escalating," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "Because they're losing control." Emily squeezes my hand across the table, her touch an anchor, and I pull out my laptop, the screen's glow revealing an email chain I'd found buried in my inbox. Dates, plans, scripted crises. Diane, Mark, and Tyler coordinating their attacks, timing each guilt trip to catch me at my weakest. "This isn't just about money," I murmur, the truth crystallizing in black and white. "It's about power," David nods, pulling out a business card. "I have a friend who specializes in financial abuse cases. Call if you need backup." I take it, the card's sharp edges pressing into my fingers, a promise of options I've never dared consider. Diane's voicemail pings through as I pocket the card, her voice sharp and cold. "Without your money, this family falls apart. Is that what you want?" The familiar guilt rises, but David's words echo over it. "Setting boundaries isn't betrayal." I delete the message mid-sentence, the click of the trash icon a small rebellion, and Emily smiles, a flicker of pride in her eyes. The cafe hums around us, a bubble of normalcy amid the storm, and for the first time, I feel the weight shifting, not gone, but bearable, with allies at my side. The next day, the office buzzes with its usual rhythm until Diane's voice cuts through, sharp and precise as a surgeon's blade. "How dare you ignore my calls?" she snaps, storming past the receptionist, her heels clicking across the open floor plan like gunfire. I grip my coffee mug tighter, willing my hands not to shake as heads turn, curious glances darting my way. "Mom, I'm at work," I say, the words steadier than I feel. But behind me, Sarah from accounting pauses her typing, her chair creaking. "Oh, so now you're too important to help your family?" Diane's laugh crackles, the same calculated edge I heard in the video, and heat creeps up my neck. "What happened to being grateful for everything we've done for you?" My supervisor, Tom, emerges from his office, eyebrows rising at the commotion, and I fumble to switch off the speakerphone she's somehow activated, but the damage is done. Her voice has already painted me as the ungrateful daughter for all to hear. Later that evening, I slide into a corner booth at Rossi's restaurant, the white tablecloths and clinking wine glasses a stark contrast to the bruise still throbbing on my reputation. It's Uncle Tom's birthday, and I'd hoped to stay invisible, but Mark's voice carries across the room, loud enough to ensure every relative hears. Some people, he announces, swirling his third glass of Cabernet, think they're too good for family once they get a fancy office job. His eyes fix on me, lips curling into a smirk. Isn't that right, Amelia? The accusation stings, a fresh wound, but something else rises in my chest, a familiar pressure building like steam in a kettle. I watch him take another self-satisfied sip, his broad frame looming over the table, and suddenly I'm tired of being their punching bag, their endless well. I set my fork down, the clatter against fine china, slicing through the chatter, and meet his gaze. Actually, Dad, I say, my voice clear and sharp, I think it's more that some people view family as an ATM rather than actual relatives. The room falls silent, a collective intake of breath as Mark chokes mid-sip, wine splattering his shirt. Aunt Linda's eyes widen across the table, her fork frozen halfway to her mouth. She knows exactly what I mean, the video burning a hole in my pocket, like a digital smoking gun. Uncle Tom coughs awkwardly, and the cousins shift in their seats. But I hold Mark's glare, the steam in my chest spilling over into defiance. Diane's hand tightens on her glass, her practiced smile faltering, and Tyler mutters something under his breath, his usual bravado absent. The moment stretches, taut as a wire, and I realize they're not used to me fighting back. Not publicly, not like this. The weight of their stares presses in, but for once, it doesn't crush me. It fuels me, a spark igniting in the ashes of their control. The bedroom is a cocoon of shadows as I sit cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by old photo albums and the glow of my laptop screen. The night presses in, thick and silent, but my hands are steady now, tracing the edges of a picture from my first job celebration. Me beaming, unaware that my starting bonus would vanish into Diane's credit card debt the next week. The video's laughter still lingers in my ears, but it's fainter, drowned by the click of keys as I list every payment on a new document. Documentation of financial exploitation. The title stares back at me, both terrifying and liberating, and I type faster, each entry a brick in my wall of truth. January 2020, emergency roof repair, $8,400. February 2020, mom's overdue medical bills, $3,200. March 2020, Tyler's car trouble, $2,800. The numbers climb too quickly, a tally of years drained, $147,632, nearly my entire life savings, siphoned away by their endless needs. I pause, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, and flip through another album. Christmas 2021, when I couldn't afford a vacation because of Mark's emergency, his broad frame grinning beside a tree I'd paid for. The memories shift, taking on a darker shade, and I uncover an email archive buried deep in my inbox. Loan documents for their house, my signature forged in Diane's hasty scrawl. My breath catches, the missing piece snapping into place. This isn't just exploitation, it's theft. I stand before the bathroom mirror, the woman staring back different somehow, shoulders straighter, jaw set with newfound resolve. I see a woman done being the scapegoat, I whisper to my reflection, the words steady and clear. The trembling uncertainty of yesterday fades, replaced by a purpose that hardens in my chest like steel. Erosion has shaped me, worn my edges to fit their mold, but it stops now. I reinforce myself with every documented lie, every dollar they stole. The laptop hums on the desk, a fortress of evidence, and I know this is only the beginning of breaking free. The community hall buzzes with murmurs as I stand before my extended family. The projectors hum, a steady pulse behind me on March 15th, 2025. Rows of chairs hold Aunt Linda, Uncle Tom, cousins, all watching as I click the remote, my voice carrying through the stunned silence. I've called this meeting to ensure complete transparency about our family's financial situation. The first slide glows on the screen, Diane's frantic texts about fictional emergencies, her words a masterclass in guilt. Your father and I could lose everything. I click again, and Mark's threatening emails appear, demanding money with a scowl I can still see looming over my desk. Your mother's crying because of you. Another click, and Tyler's manipulative pleas fill the space. Sis, I really need your help. It's an emergency. The evidence builds, each piece a thread unraveling their carefully woven lies, and I feel their power over me dissolving in the harsh light of truth. I press play on the video, and their laughter echoes through the hall, the same cruel sound that shattered me days ago. Diane's voice drips with satisfaction. She's so desperate to be the good daughter. Mark chuckles. Our little ATM. Tyler's smug addition. She didn't even ask what it was for. The room freezes, a collective gasp rippling through the crowd. Aunt Linda's hand flies to her mouth, her eyes wide with guilt. She knows this is her doing. The accidental send that sparked this reckoning. Uncle Tom stares at his shoes, and Cousin Rachel whispers something to her husband, his head shaking in disgust. Diane sits rigid in the front row, her practiced smile gone, while Mark's glare burns into me, his wine-flushed face paling. Tyler shrinks beside them, his cocky mask slipping as he fidgets with his phone, avoiding my gaze. I end the presentation, my voice a blade, cutting through years of manipulation. This is the family I've sacrificed everything for. No more. The crowd disperses, but the fallout ignites beyond these walls. Emily's text lights up my phone. She's posted our cafe clash online, her fierce defense of me spreading like wildfire. David follows, sharing my documented evidence with his professional network, and supporters pile on, their voices a shield wall of solidarity. Through the thin walls of the hall, I overhear Linda's voice, thick with emotion as she speaks into her phone. I can't believe what we've done to her, all these years. Her words trail off, a crack in her complicity, and I catch a glimpse of Tyler, alone, in the corner, shoulders slumped as he stares at his screen. For a moment, the arrogant facade slips, revealing something like regret, but he looks away when he notices me watching. The hall empties, leaving me with the projector's fading glow and a certainty settling in my bones. Their web is unraveling, and I'm the one pulling the strings now. The community center is a storm of clicking cameras and whirring lenses as I step up to the podium on March 19th, 2025. The USB drive heavy in my hand like a loaded gun. The weight of what I'm about to do settles on my shoulders, but it doesn't crush me. Not anymore. For years, I begin, my voice steady despite my racing heart. I believed family meant sacrificing everything. Your savings, your dreams, your self-worth. Today, I'm showing you what that sacrifice really looked like. I plug in the drive, and the first bank statement flashes on the screen. Diane's urgent text about a mortgage payment she couldn't make, followed by a receipt for a luxury cruise she took instead. The crowd murmurs, a ripple of shock, as I click to Mark's threatening email about Tyler's emergency car repairs. A car he sold for profit a week later, the transfer confirmation glowing in stark numbers. Each piece builds on the last, a damning mosaic of their greed unfolding before dozens of watchful eyes. I play the video last, their laughter booming through the silent room, Diane's smug satisfaction, Mark's drunken chuckle, Tyler's mocking tone landing with devastating clarity. Our little ATM. The screen goes dark, and the silence holds for one breath, 2 before erupting into a chaos of flashes and shouted questions. My phone explodes with notifications as the story hits social media, the video going viral within hours, tearing down their carefully crafted image. Local news picks it up, then national networks, the wildfire spreading beyond my control. But I don't want it contained. I've lit the match, and their lies are the kindling. Back at home, I spread the evidence across my desk: bank statements, screenshots, recorded calls, a fortress of truth I've built brick by brick. The laptop glows with reactions, each supportive comment another layer between me and their manipulation. And I feel the weight lifting, not crushing me anymore. Just the first real breath I've taken in years. Diane's latest voicemail pings through, her voice trembling with rage. "How dare you air our private business like this?" I delete it mid-sentence, but Tyler's face appears on the TV, standing at a podium with Diane hovering like a puppet master. "Family isn't just about blood," he declares, his voice cracking with manufactured emotion. "It's about sacrifice, responsibility. My sister's forgotten that." The words aim for my chest, but the guilt doesn't take root. Not this time. I think of their laughter, their calculated plans, and my spine straightens. The press conference has changed everything, and as the cameras fade, I know they're scrambling, their usual tactics useless in this harsh light. I've exposed the truth, and it's louder than their lies ever were. The community forum on financial abuse hums with tension, fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows over the packed room a week after the press conference. Diane, Mark, and Tyler sit in the front row, flanked by lawyers in crisp suits, their faces a gallery of forced composure. Diane's lips tight, Mark's jaw clenched, Tyler's eyes darting to the exit. I grip the microphone, its cool metal steadying me as I face the audience, their watchful eyes a silent jury. "You've heard my family's version of events," I say, my voice carrying to every corner. "About duty, obligation, the daughter who betrayed their trust." I pause, meeting Diane's glare, then Mark's, then Tyler's, each stare a fading echo of the control they once wielded. "But obligation isn't love," I continue. "Duty isn't family, and exposing abuse isn't betrayal." The words land like stones, and a slow applause begins, building into a wave that drowns out the rustle of their lawyers' papers. Diane's hand twitches, Mark shifts uncomfortably, and Tyler sinks lower in his seat. Their usual arsenal of guilt and threats lies useless under this scrutiny. Back in my apartment, the desk is a battlefield of evidence. Bank statements, screen shots, recorded calls spread out like a map of my liberation. I open a fresh document, the cursor blinking as I type, "Legal Action Preparation, Phase 1. The familiar tension in my shoulders eases with each keystroke, outlining steps to protect myself. Restraining orders, fraud claims, consultations with David's specialist friend. This isn't just reaction anymore. It's strategy, a shield of my own making, forged from their lies. My phone buzzes with their latest volley, Diane's voicemail, shrill and accusing. "You've destroyed us, Amelia. Is that what you wanted?" I delete it. The trash icons click a quiet victory, but another notification breaks my focus. An email from an anonymous sender, subject line cryptic. "The final piece is closer than you think." My heart pounds as I read the preview. "Check the attic, 2018. The words hang in the air, a thread I can't yet pull, hinting at secrets still buried in their house. The one I've paid for, the one with my forged signature on its loans. I lean back, the chair creaking under me, and let the possibility settle. Whatever this is, it could shift everything again. But I'm not afraid. Not anymore. The trembling uncertainty of those first days after the video has faded, replaced by methodical purpose. The forum's applause still echoes in my mind, a chorus of support, that bolsters me against their fading grip. Diane, Mark, and Tyler can scramble all they want. Their facade is ash, and I'm the one who lit the fire. The email glows on the screen, a question mark in my victory. But I close the laptop for now, ready to face it when the time comes. Dawn breaks over my apartment, soft light filtering through the blinds and painting stripes across the desk, now a fortress of evidence and resolve. I stand before the bathroom mirror, the woman staring back, a stranger yet familiar. Shoulders squared, eyes clear, no longer shadowed by their demands. I will not be manipulated anymore, I declare to my reflection, my voice steady and firm, a vow etched into the quiet. I will not be their ATM. The words hang in the air, solid as the hardwood beneath my feet, and I feel the pressure in my chest transform. Not quite peace, not quite triumph, but perhaps the first real breath I've taken in years. The phone sits silent on the counter, no buzzes of guilt or pleas, piercing the stillness. And I let it stay that way, a boundary I've finally drawn. I brew coffee, the rich scent rising like a promise, grounding me as I sip from my favorite mug, the one Emily gave me years ago, chipped but steady in my hands. The laptop hums to life, the cursor blinking on my legal document, steady as a heartbeat, but I don't open it yet. Instead, I gaze out the window, the city waking beyond the glass, and let my mind drift to that cryptic email. Check the attic, 2018. It's a whisper of something unfinished, a loose thread in the tapestry of their deceit. But I'm not rushing to unravel it. I've spent too long running on their timeline, reacting to their crises. Now, I move at my own pace. The coffee warms my throat, a quiet ritual of reclaiming myself, and I think of Emily's smile at the cafe, David's card in my wallet, anchors outside their toxic bubble. The silence wraps around me, no longer a void but a canvas, and a question rises, softer now. Who am I without them? I don't know the answer, not fully, but it doesn't scare me anymore. I set the mug down, the clink a small note of certainty, and whisper to the dawn, I'm ready to find out. The day stretches ahead, mine to shape, and for the first time, I feel the weight of their absence as a gift, a space to breathe, to become, steady as the cursor's pulse on the screen.